The massive training facility gleamed like a metallic beast, its curved walls reflecting strange purple-green light that seemed to pulse with an alien heartbeat. Jay Park stood among 11 other human recruits, their dark training uniforms crisp and tight against their bodies. Around them, hundreds of alien species watched with a mixture of curiosity and mild contempt. Krell, the primary instructor, was a towering creature with multiple tentacle-like appendages and eyes that shifted colors like liquid mercury. His body language suggested complete disinterest in the new human participants. Humans were considered the newest and least experienced species in the Galactic training program, a fact that seemed to amuse most of the older, more established alien races. "Humans," Krell announced, his voice a strange, vibrating sound that translated perfectly through the universal communication devices. "You are the first of your species to enter advanced interstellar combat training. Do not expect special treatment." Jay noticed the subtle shifts in his teammates' postures. Some looked nervous, while others, like Min Wei and Hyun Kang, appeared almost excited. They had trained for years to reach this moment, understanding that this was more than just a physical challenge. This was humanity's first real chance to prove themselves on an intergalactic stage. The training floor began to transform. Metallic panels shifted and changed, creating a landscape that looked part technological marvel, part impossible terrain. Gravity sensors hummed to life, creating multiple gravitational zones that would challenge even the most adaptable species. "Initial assessment will test physical adaptability," Krell continued. "Those who fail will be immediately removed from the program." Jay watched as the first alien species began their test. A serpentine creature from a high-gravity world moved with incredible speed, navigating complex obstacle courses that seemed to defy normal physical limitations. Another participant, a crystalline being, could literally reshape its body to pass through tiny openings. When the human team's turn arrived, the entire observation deck went silent. Min Wei was the first to step forward. She was smaller compared to some alien participants, but her movements were precise and calculated. The obstacle course began, and something unexpected happened. Where alien species had complex, rehearsed movements, Min displayed a raw, adaptive approach. She didn't just navigate the course, she seemed to understand its underlying logic almost instantly. When gravity shifted unexpectedly, her body adjusted milliseconds faster than any previous participant. When energy barriers appeared, she didn't just avoid them, but found the most efficient path through their complex grid. Jay watched, understanding exactly what was happening. Humans had evolved on Earth, a planet that constantly challenged survival. Every mountain, desert, ocean, and extreme environment had shaped their species into something unique. Their bodies weren't just strong, they were intelligent machines of adaptation. Krell's color-changing eyes stopped on a deep red, indicating surprise. The other instructors began whispering among themselves, their translator devices barely concealing their shock. Min completed the course in record time, her breathing steady, her movements showing no signs of exhaustion. The previous record holder, a four-armed creature from a high-intensity training world, looked visibly stunned. "Impressive," Krell muttered, though he tried to hide his genuine surprise. As other human team members took their turns, a pattern emerged. Where alien species had specialized skills, humans displayed a remarkable ability to improvise. Hyun Kang used unconventional techniques that seemed to break the standard movement protocols. Jay Park demonstrated an almost intuitive understanding of spatial dynamics. The observation deck grew quieter. What had started as mild amusement was transforming into genuine interest. These humans weren't just another species, they were something different. By the session's end, the human team had not just completed the initial assessment, they had redefined what was considered possible. The alien instructors exchanged glances, their complex communication systems working overtime to process what they had witnessed. Jay noticed Krell watching them, his tentacles slightly trembling, a sign of genuine emotional response in his species. They had come as the newest, least experienced participants. But in just one session, they had shown that humanity was not to be underestimated. As they left the training floor, Jay caught Minwei's eye. No words were needed. They both understood that this was more than just a training session. This was humanity's first real statement to the galaxy. We are here, we are different, and we are ready. The first contact with alien training had just become something far more significant. The beginning of a new understanding. The gravity chamber loomed like a massive metallic sphere, its internal mechanisms humming with dangerous potential. Most alien species viewed it as the ultimate test of physical endurance, a space where only the strongest could survive. The chamber could simulate pressures that would crush bones, rupture organs, and break the spirit of nearly every known living creature. Jay Park stepped forward, his muscles tense but calm. Behind him, his human teammates watched with a mixture of anticipation and quiet confidence. The alien instructors had designed this challenge to be impossible, a way to separate the truly exceptional from the merely average. Krell's voice echoed through the chamber. Gravitational increase commencing. Normal tolerance levels will be exceeded within moments. The first participants were massive creatures from high-density planets. They entered confidently, their thick exoskeletons and multiple limbs suggesting absolute strength. But as the gravity intensified, their bravado quickly dissolved. One by one they collapsed. The crystalline beings shattered. The serpentine creatures compressed into themselves. Massive rock-like entities crumbled under the increasing pressure. What should have taken hours happened in mere minutes. Minwei watched carefully. She understood something the alien instructors did not. Humans were not just another species. They were survivors. When Jay entered the chamber, something remarkable happened. Where other species immediately showed signs of stress, he moved. His body wasn't just resisting, it was adapting. Each increase in gravitational pressure seemed to trigger a response in his muscle groups, redistributing weight, adjusting internal systems. The human body, shaped by millions of years of survival, on Earth was performing a biological miracle. Muscles flexed, bones compressed and realigned, blood flow adjusted instantaneously. Krell's color-changing eyes turned a deep shade of shocked purple. The observation deck went completely silent. Hyun Kang whispered to Min, "Look how he moves. It's like his body is thinking." Indeed, Jay wasn't just surviving the gravity chamber. He was learning it. Every additional unit of pressure became a new challenge to overcome, not a threat to endure. His breathing remained steady, his movements calculated and precise. 15 minutes passed, then 30. The gravity continued increasing, a level that should have been fatal to any known species. Yet Jay Park remained standing, his body a perfect machine of adaptation and survival. The alien instructors began checking their equipment, certain something must be malfunctioning. But the readings were clear. A human was doing what no other species had ever accomplished. When Jay finally exited the chamber, he wasn't exhausted. He was calm, breathing normally. His muscles showed no signs of stress or damage. The observation deck erupted into a mix of whispers, shocked translations, and disbelief. Krell approached, his tentacles moving in complex patterns of confusion and respect. "Explain," he demanded. Jay simply smiled. "We come from a planet that constantly tries to kill us. Gravity is just another challenge." The other human team members began their tests. Each performed differently but equally impressively. Minwei's body seemed to pulse with an internal rhythm, adjusting to pressure changes like water finding its own level. Hyun Kang moved with a dancer's grace, his muscles responding to gravitational shifts almost before they happened. What the aliens saw was not just physical strength, it was evolutionary intelligence. Humans weren't just strong, they were adaptive. Every challenge was an opportunity to learn, to grow, to survive. By the end of the session, the entire training facility had changed. What began as a method to eliminate weak participants had become a showcase of human potential. The alien instructors looked at the human team with a new emotion, a combination of respect, fear, and genuine curiosity. Krell knew something fundamental had changed. Humanity was not just another species joining the galactic community. They were something entirely different. A species that didn't just survive challenges, but transformed them into opportunities. As the humans left the training floor, quiet conversations began. Words like unprecedented and impossible were repeated in multiple alien languages. But underneath those words was a growing realization. The galaxy had just met its newest, most unpredictable players, and they were just getting started. The training simulation transformed into a nightmare landscape of shifting energy barriers, magnetic fields, and impossible geometric challenges. What was designed to be the most complex obstacle course in galactic training history now stood as a testament to human adaptability. Hyun Kang approached the first section, his eyes scanning the environment with a predator's intensity. The alien instructors had carefully constructed this challenge to be mathematically impossible. No species had ever completed it in full until today. Magnetic fields flickered and changed, creating invisible walls that would crush or redirect any participant. Energy barriers pulsed with destructive frequencies designed to disrupt biological systems. Most species would be paralyzed within seconds, but humans weren't most species. Hyun moved like water through stone. Where alien participants had rigid, programmed movements, he flowed. Each magnetic pulse became a dance, each energy barrier a puzzle to be solved. His body wasn't just avoiding obstacles, it was understanding them. Minwei watched from the preparation area, her muscles tense with anticipation. She understood what was happening. This wasn't just a physical challenge. It was a complete reimagining of what was possible. Krell's tentacles twisted in confusion. The tracking systems couldn't properly record Hyun's movements. He wasn't just navigating the course, he was rewriting its fundamental rules. A crystalline instructor leaned forward, its transparent body shifting colors with increasing agitation. "This is impossible," it communicated through the universal translators. "No biological system can process these environmental changes." But Hyun continued. One section involved quantum-level energy fields that should have instantly disrupted any organic neural system. Previous participants would collapse, their nervous systems completely overwhelmed. Hyun simply adjusted. His brain processed the changes faster than the fields could react. J. Park watched with a subtle smile. This was humanity's true strength, not muscles or raw power, but the ability to adapt instantly. Earth had been a training ground far more complex than any artificial simulation. Survival wasn't just about strength, it was about intelligence, flexibility, and pure determination. The magnetic fields intensified, energy barriers multiplied. The entire simulation became a living, breathing entity of impossible challenges. Most species would have given up. Humans saw it as a game to be solved. Hyun completed the first section in a quarter of the expected time. The observation deck went silent. Alien instructors began frantically checking their equipment, certain there must be a mistake. But there was no mistake. Minwei was next. Where Hyun had used raw adaptive skills, she brought mathematical precision. Each movement was a calculated response. Each step a complex equation solved in milliseconds. She didn't just avoid the barriers, she predicted them. The training protocols were breaking. What was meant to eliminate participants was becoming a showcase of human potential. Krell's color-changing eyes shifted through multiple emotional states. Surprise, confusion, a hint of fear. These humans were not just another species. They were something entirely different. By the session's end, the entire simulation had been rewritten. The humans hadn't just completed the challenge, they had transformed it. Alien training manuals would need complete reconstruction. "Impossible," the crystalline instructor repeated, its body now a swirl of conflicting colors. Jay approached Krell, his movement calm and confident. "On Earth," he explained simply, "impossible is just another word for not yet solved." The training facility buzzed with a new energy. Whispers spread across multiple species. Conversations translated through complex communication systems. The humans were changing everything they understood about physical and mental adaptation. What had started as a standard training simulation had become something much more. A statement. A declaration. Humanity had arrived, and they were ready to rewrite the rules. As the human team left the training floor, the alien instructors exchanged looks of genuine concern and growing respect. The galaxy's newest species was proving to be its most unpredictable players, and they were just beginning to show what they could do. The assessment room hummed with a strange electrical tension. Massive holographic displays surrounded the human team, each screen showing complex biological and psychological data that seemed to defy normal understanding. Krell stood at the center, his tentacles moving nervously as layer after layer of human capability was revealed. J. Park stood calmly, his body a perfect machine of evolutionary adaptation. Behind him, Min Wei and Hyun Kang waited, their postures relaxed but alert. This was more than just a test. This was humanity's moment to explain their existence. The first holographic display showed Earth's environment, a planet of extreme contrasts. Freezing polar regions, scorching deserts, dense rainforests, volcanic landscapes, mountains that touch the sky, oceans with crushing depths. Each environment had been a training ground, constantly challenging human survival. "Your planet is a nightmare," Krell stated, his translation device carrying a mixture of shock and respect. Jay's response was simple. "We call it home." The psychological profile was even more fascinating. Where alien species had specialized skills, humans demonstrated something entirely different: complete adaptability. Their brains could rewire themselves faster than any known biological system. Stress wasn't a limitation, it was a trigger for improvement. Minwei stepped forward, explaining how human evolution worked. Every challenge was an opportunity, every obstacle a chance to grow stronger. The human body wasn't just a physical structure, it was a learning system. The alien researchers were stunned. Humans didn't just survive environments, they transformed them. Hyun demonstrated their unique problem-solving approach. While other species followed strict protocols, humans saw rules as suggestions. Each challenge was a puzzle waiting to be solved, not a barrier to be feared. Multiple alien instructors reviewed the data. Their complex monitoring system showed something unprecedented. The humans weren't just performing well, they were redefining what was possible. One section of the assessment tracked neural plasticity, the brain's ability to change and adapt. Normal species showed minimal flexibility. Humans showed something extraordinary. Their brains could literally restructure themselves in real time, creating new neural pathways faster than any known biological system. "How is this possible?" a crystalline researcher asked, its transparent body shifting with confusion. Jay's explanation was brutally simple. On Earth, those who couldn't adapt didn't survive. The psychological profile revealed something even more interesting. Humans possessed an almost irrational sense of hope. Where other species would calculate risk and likely failure, humans saw potential. Challenges weren't obstacles, they were opportunities. Krell's tentacles moved in complex patterns of increasing respect. These weren't just recruits, they were something more. A species shaped by constant challenge, where survival itself was an art form. The final assessment revealed the true depth of human potential. Their muscles weren't just strong, they were intelligent. Their brains weren't just complex, they were adaptive machines. Every system in the human body worked not just to survive, but to improve. Minwei explained how human children learned, constantly testing boundaries, failing, and improving. Each failure was a step toward success. Each challenge an opportunity to grow stronger. The observation deck became quiet. Alien species began to understand something fundamental about humanity. They weren't just another species entering the galactic community. They were something entirely different. A survival system so complex, so adaptable, that it defied traditional understanding. Krell approached Jay, his multiple eyes showing a range, of emotions: respect, fear, curiosity. "You are not what we expected," he said. Jay's response was simple and powerful. "Nobody ever is." As the assessment concluded, the entire training facility understood something had changed. Humanity wasn't just joining the galactic community, they were about to transform it. The turning point had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The final evaluation arrived like a thunderstorm of potential. Hundreds of alien species watched as the human team prepared for their ultimate challenge. This wasn't just a test anymore. It was humanity's moment to prove their worth on an intergalactic stage. Krell stood at the primary observation platform, his tentacles trembling with a mixture of anticipation and genuine curiosity. The training simulation had been completely redesigned, incorporating every complex challenge they could imagine. It was meant to be impossible. Jay Park stepped forward first. Behind him, Min Wei and Hyun Kang moved with a quiet confidence that seemed to unsettle the alien instructors. Their movements weren't just physical, they were a statement. The simulation began. Imagine a challenge that combined quantum physics, extreme gravitational shifts, neural disruption fields, and impossible spatial dynamics. It was designed to break every known biological system. Most species would collapse within moments. Humans saw it differently. Jay moved through the first section like water finding its path. Where other participants would calculate, he improvised. Each energy barrier became a dance, each gravitational shift an opportunity to learn. His body wasn't just responding, it was thinking. Min Wei followed, her approach mathematical and precise. She didn't just avoid challenges, she understood them. Complex quantum fields that should have destroyed any biological system became puzzles to be solved. Her brain processed information faster than the simulation could change. Hyun Kang brought pure adaptive intelligence. His movements were a combination of martial arts precision and pure survival instinct. He wasn't just completing the challenge, he was rewriting its fundamental rules. The alien observation deck went completely silent. Tracking systems failed to capture their movements. Standard monitoring equipment couldn't process the speed and complexity of human adaptation. What was happening defied every known scientific understanding. Hours passed. Challenges that should have taken days were completed in minutes. Obstacles designed to eliminate participants became playgrounds of human potential. The simulation wasn't just being completed, it was being transformed. Krell's color-changing eyes shifted through multiple emotional states: surprise, confusion, growing respect. These weren't just recruits. They were something entirely different. As the final section approached, the complexity increased exponentially. Spatial dimensions twisted. Neural disruption fields multiplied. Gravitational systems became unpredictable. It was the ultimate test of biological adaptation. The humans didn't just survive, they dominated. When the simulation ended, the tracking system showed something unprecedented. Not only had they completed every single challenge, but they had done so with an efficiency that made previous records look like primitive attempts. The observation deck erupted into multiple language translations. Whispers of impossible and unprecedented filled the air. Alien species looked at each other, trying to process what they had witnessed. Krell approached the human team, his tentacles moving in complex patterns of respect and genuine admiration. "You are not what we expected," he said, his translation device carrying a mixture of emotions. Jay's response was simple and powerful. "We never are." The final evaluation wasn't just a test, it was a statement. Humanity had arrived on the intergalactic stage, and they were ready to rewrite every rule. Min Wei looked at her teammates. No words were needed. They understood what had happened. This was more than a training simulation. This was a declaration of human potential. Alien instructors began immediate discussions. Training protocols would need complete reconstruction. Everything they understood about biological adaptation was being challenged. As the human team left the training floor, the entire facility buzzed with a new energy. Conversations translated across multiple species carried a mixture of respect, fear, and genuine curiosity. The galaxy had just met its newest players, and they were nothing like anyone had expected. Humanity had arrived, and they were just getting started. The ultimate recognition had been earned, not through violence, not through aggression, but through pure, unadulterated potential.